Hello and welcome. We are going to a live Q&A this evening. We are going to be talking about a very sensitive topic. I want to remind everyone that it is a great opportunity for you, whether you're a parent, student athlete. If you have questions that you would like me to answer, we are live, so you can go ahead and ask them. If you are watching on Facebook, you're watching on X, YouTube, please, if you can, make your way over to YouTube first and foremost. Um, I want you to understand that engaging in the video with the video definitely helps us out, definitely increases awareness, helps with the algorithm, helps build the community. Get the notification bell. Subscribing is free. Engaging is free. Asking your questions is free. Also, want to answer a specific question that came in last week. Yes, Proline has softballs. In fact, I have one right here. So yes, Proline does have the softball, works in all the machines. A lot of coaches have told me that they are using the Proline ball in all facets, defensively, offensively, soft toss, tee work, machines, catching drills, infield drills, etc. So the Proline balls, if you go to prolineballs.com, you enter the code BlueBook. That will unlock 15% discount. And you can find out why all the major leaguers, the college coaches, college athletes, a lot of high school teams are now using the Proline ball. It's simply the best. Topic tonight is one of those topics that the class of 26, the class of 27, and on deck, the class of 28 are asking via email. They're asking me via DM. I get asked when I am out watching games all about the recruiting process. And I want to really, I don't want to tiptoe around this, but I want to be able to answer sincerely and honestly, and most importantly, candidly. Um, there are a lot of student athletes, a lot of families that are chasing jerseys. And I want you to understand that now more than ever, the number one, really most important piece to the recruiting puzzle for your student athlete is about finding the right fit and all that that entails. I have said it repeatedly, but I find more and more people are spending money on personal trainers, on instruction, on camps, showcases, chasing, instead of really creating what I call an accurate game plan. And one of the first topics I want to cover is, it seems now more than ever, a lot of families and athletes are coveting the early decisions, meaning if you're at 27, you're looking to put that decision away and you're looking to kind of move forward. And I cannot stress enough that trying to chase that early commitment is something that with the families that I work with, I'm not an advocate for it. I don't feel that it is always going to lead to the destination that most athletes and their families think that it is. So let's talk about that. Early decisions. In August of this year, the class of 28 will have their recruiting process that will begin or commence. And so the green flag drops. I wouldn't be in a hurry to drop your checkered flag and say, okay, I'm getting recruited, I'm making my decision, and I'm moving forward. And there's multiple reasons for that. In today's world, we deal with coaching changes. We deal with the portal. The portal is a very fluid piece, and it has to do with the 34-man cap Division One and the 36-man cap Division Two. And what I want you to understand are gone are the days of stacking, pieces through the red shirt process, uh, even a gray shirt process, which is a topic for another day, and just kind of overfilling a roster and stashing a lot of athletes, allowing them to develop or grow, and then kind of bringing them back out the following year. Unfortunately, those days just don't exist, and you can see it a lot of injuries. If you look across college baseball, it's some of the higher tiered programs. They're dealing with pitching staff injuries. And so, what I think we're going to begin to see a lot more of is a lot more pitchers being added into that 34 and 36-man roster spot. And I wouldn't say a lot less, but less of the position players, more of the two-way potential athlete, particularly at the academic schools, where you might have some of those high school two-way athletes that'll begin to emerge and take on a bigger role with regard to having the ability to swing the bat as well as pitch. So the first part of our topic tonight is, when do you want to make that commitment? And I really think that it is something that is a worthwhile discussion for all parents. And that is really slowing the commitment portion into that senior year, meaning you've completed the junior year, you're a rising high school senior, you have a transcript in hand. So, if there's a pre read necessary, and then also you're able to monitor the portal process with your athlete being on deck with those portal athletes. Meaning, if a team doesn't, if they're not able to get that left-hand hitting second baseman or left-handed hitting catcher or right-handed pitcher, you'll know that, and you'll be able to kind of fulfill that role. And in some cases, there are high school seniors in their senior spring that rise up because they've physically matured, their skill sets have developed, and they're able to work within that portal process as well. And those late bloomers, as we affectionately call them, they are part of the recruiting process at the vast majority of college programs. Every year, moving forward, May, June, and July, those will be the really active, aggressive recruiting dates. And by that, I mean you're dealing with factual numbers. You're dealing with coaches that have a firm understanding of who can, who did, as well as those who can't or did not. And so that levels the playing field. You're able to really get the best opportunity for your student athlete because you're able to talk to the decision makers based on their needs now. Very hard for college coaches to project out, a year or two because there's so many variables. And college coaches now really try to go year by year. And I want to make something very, very clear. If I take a look across the top 40 college programs in the country, particularly two, which happen to be in the same geographical area, USC and UCLA. Had a great dialogue today with USC recruiting coordinator Travis Jewett. And we were talking about the emphasis, particularly at those two schools, has been to develop internally their pitching and then fill in if needed with regard to position players through the portal. And one of the dynamics of the portal that we do not discuss enough is most of the players that enter the portal are entering not of their own they don't want to enter the portal. And so, we see the portal as this glorious kind of opportunity that awaits us, and we have dollar signs in our eyes. But in reality, the portal, for most, I would say 2/3, let's just cut it to 60%, is not an enjoyable experience. And those athletes that have had success, maybe at a lower division, or they want to try to see if there's any demand for their services, they might have been at the higher level programs and simply are getting offered more money. That's really for the 1/3, the top 25%, top 30%. But everybody else is trying to find their fit, their realistic fit. So for high school athletes, I think it's really important for you to get on that same kind of foundation. And we're trying to find a fit that offers balance. We're not chasing a jersey. These jerseys aren't magical. These schools don't offer magic wands and wave them over. So, if we're not looking to upgrade our social media profiles and validation that comes with that, which for the most part can be temporary, and we start looking to the reality of where we want to land, what we're ultimately chasing, whether anyone wants to admit it or not, is an educational experience in a career. Because it really, for 98, almost 99% of college student athletes, and let's just use the round number of 60,000 student athletes that participate as college baseball players. 98, 99%. College is the final frontier. Access to Major League Baseball is going to continue to get shorter, smaller. It's going to shrink. I don't want to go down that road necessarily tonight, but you so want to find that landing spot where you're going to have a good 4 or potentially 5 years. Now, here's where I want to interject a sense of sensibility. There are people that are being told that junior college is not going to count towards eligibility. I want to state emphatically for the record, yes, it counts towards your eligibility. That was a one-off decision that really was only applicable, due to the COVID years, which hopefully we never see again. And then that was a decision for a football player, really not a baseball player. So for the love of baseball, if anybody tries to tell you that JUCO is not going to count towards your 5 years of eligibility, they are wrong. They are wrong today. They were wrong yesterday, and they'll be wrong tomorrow. Also, while I'm on this topic, I want to really firmly state for the record, JUCO baseball is not what the vast majority of families and athletes think that it is. Now, I've had JUCO, I've had Blinn, we've had McClellan, we've had LSU Eunice, we've had Olani in California. So we've had California schools, we've had Northern Essex, which is a JUCO Division III. I'm going to continue to have JUCO coaches on, but I want you to understand that the JUCO route at the Division I level of JUCO baseball is filled to the brim with the NCAA fallbacks, Division I and II. They have really 2 aggressive recruiting cycles, which is June, July, and then again in January. aggressive in January. It's important when you're choosing a JUCO to understand that you can have an outstanding fall and then have a Division I fallback that can impact your role or potential role at a JUCO. So it's really, I suggest that if you're looking to do the JUCO route, that you really have a clear understanding to your pathway or your opportunities with regard to playing time and your opportunities as a freshman. And also your opportunities. Some athletes go to a JUCO thinking, I'll go there for a year. Yeah, this coach tells me it's okay for me to go for 1 year. He's going to let me leave after a year. Not necessarily accurate. In fact, most JUCO coaches are going to, require you to be a minimum of 2 years, and in some cases, 3 years. A lot of redshirting is done at the JUCO level, especially that freshman year. JUCO's loaded to the brim with elite high school arms, Division I fallback arms that the higher levels of NCAA are looking for their pitchers to get innings. So they send them to a specific JUCO to get those innings, and then they reemerge back at those schools on their rosters. A lot of roster management is very fluid and it's changing. And I really want to stress that. So my first topic is to really get you to understand if you're at 26, there's still plenty of time. Don't be told otherwise. You may want to readjust your sights. I really want you to know as parents that the target needs to be fluid. It needs to be what's the major? What's the geographics? What are the opportunities? Because I see a lot of parents that are looking to spend money on things that really are not going to elevate their student athlete with regard to recruiting. Let me deviate here and let me look on a lot of questions tonight. Doug Adams, our Dirt Dogs of Clark State. That is a program that is emerging. My son was a pitcher. Okay, great school. Can you explain the difference between the 34 and now 36 position? I'm curious about the 36. Is that 3-player that can rotate if there is an arm injury? Tom, thank you so much. What I want you to know is 36 is Division II. Division II, they do have developmental teams. They do have JV teams. Division I does not. Division I baseball, which is approximately 303 teams, I expect there to be a big realignment, but I do not anticipate any changes to that cap. Remember, we were for years at 35 with a 27-man travel roster. Post-COVID, we emerged with 40. And I think a lot of coaches got very comfortable knowing they had emergency backups. And now we are starting to see a lot of coaches that are finding it challenging. You got to keep guys healthy. So I don't think we're ever going to see any kind of spare roster that kind of keeps guys in the mix in case of emergency, break glass, and here comes 2 right-handed pitchers off of your JV team, particularly at Division I. But my point of this topic tonight is, social media presents a lot of various opinions, and I try to be respectful. I sometimes get, when I type something that might be sarcastic, I have to be very cognizant of words There's no voice inflection. It's very monotone. Some people take it very seriously. On the topic of recruiting, um, there are a lot of people that are still in that 2019 to 2024 kind of time period with regard to recruiting. The days of, being able to pick up a phone and having somebody on the other say, I have a guy for you. I have a guy that I think will fit your program. And then having the coach just say, okay, well, I'll do you a solid. Those days are kind of gone. And they're gone for a myriad of reasons, but the most important is that the profession of college coaches. Now, I see so many people get so angry with college coaches. These guys lie, these guys cheat, these guys tell you one thing to get you in the door. They're great salesmen. They don't want to develop anymore. They're just lazy. Nothing could be further from the truth. And so what I want you to understand is college coaches, they're dealing with 34 or 36 athletes. And while they would love to be able to spend, with each an individual athlete and kind of create a game plan, and many of them do with regard to strength and skill and but development, mental development, physical development, life development is something that student athletes have to take a larger role and responsibility with way before you get to college. And when you start to hear coaches say, and again, when I put something up on a social media and I take a coach's one sentence or two sentence, we have to look deeper at the context. But when they're saying, hey, if the December 1st comes and you're not ready and another athlete is ahead of you and is ready, that other athlete has earned the opportunity. So every week for almost 4 years now, I come on and I talk to coaches and the coaches talk and they share their opinions. But yet parents and adults, I don't know if they're all parents, adults push back and they say some, what I think is genuinely, it's mysterious to me how an adult can say, well, that Division I coach doesn't know anything and he's lying and he needs to take a greater responsibility. These people are put into a role and they're compensated. And their parents, their spouses, they have a staff, they report to an athletic director. The athletic director reports to a president of a college. They have financial constraints. They are going to put the best team that they feel they can. And ultimately, they do not play. They coach, they manage, they make mistakes. So does your student athlete. My point is, we have to stop with this blame game. Who's to blame? Is it the high school coach? Because he doesn't know anything. My travel coach, I've been with him for 7 years, and he knows everything. And he may very well know a lot of stuff. But we have to stop with that. This guy's to blame. That instructor stinks. This guy didn't do the right thing by me. Accountability starts, I think, sophomore year in high school. Sophomore year, there needs to be this, okay, where are we navigating this bus? Are we really navigating to try to play in college? And if so, at what level are we really trying? And what are we trying to get out of college? My opinion, I've said it a million times. Let me say it 1,000,001. I think the great game plan that athletes can do with their high school careers is trying to trade athletic ability for academic excellence. Academic excellence that you don't need an Ivy League degree. If you get it, wow. but your college experience and all that entails. And I'm not going to go down that road because I've done it so many times. But finding the fit in having the college career, the journey of college, is so much more than, okay, I'm going to, championship U and I'm excited, praise God. And then ultimately, you got to walk that back. After further reflection and talking with my parents, I'm reopening my recruiting rather than going through the highs and lows and the ebbs and flows of all of that. It's much better to, whoa, let me take my time. Because if I am talented, if I have a student athlete that is progressing, rather than making that immediate decision as a junior, if I wait until the end of my junior year, I have a full year under my belt academically, athletically. I have a good understanding and awareness as to who I am or who I am becoming. And now I can go out with a better understanding of that. And now I can go with the college coaches because the college coaches are going to want you even more. College coaches will always recruit talent. So if you as a student athlete or a family of a student athlete have the leverage where your student athlete has talent, there's no such thing as there won't, the doors are going to close. The doors are always going to be open and available for talent. And so, if a coach says, well, I'm going to leave this open and we're going to have no room in our 28 class, okay, that's a risk that you have to take. And unless that school is your number one lockdown, absolute top of the line choice, meaning opportunity is there, the academics, the geographics, the staff is going to be there for an extended period of time, and you believe completely, every fiber of your being says, this is home for me for 4 or 5 years of my life. If it doesn't check off every one of those boxes and you're wondering about, I like this school, but can I go to that school? If it's not really lock and stock in your heart, you should slow your process down. You need to know your floor and you need to know your ceiling. We don't talk about that. When I'm talking with parents, I had an interesting call with a 2029 and, just a random conversation, somebody that cornered me at a game and I was watching, it was a BC game and, they're talking to me and their son is at 29. And I said, well, you have a lot of runway out in front of you. Well, I know our travel ball coach knows this college coach and that college coach, and they're kind of showing some interest. And my response to that parent is between now and 2028 and now and 2029, so many things are going to change. So many things are going to change. We're going to see changes to the MLB CBA, which is going to affect college athletics. I promise you. I can see political figures, Tommy Tuberville, getting involved, the president, no politic talk, please, getting involved, and they're going to try to pass bills with 5 years of eligibility. Over 5 years, you get one shot to transfer. If you try to transfer other than that 1 year, you're going to have to sit out a year. There are going to be changes. And so when you're trying to go through college recruiting, all of college, and when I say all, I mean everything from JUCOs, in California JUCOs, national JUCOs, NAIA is exploding. It's exploding on an international level. NCAA Division III, Division II, the lines are getting blurred. I say it every week. I don't think anybody takes me seriously. Find yourself in greater Northeast or Mid-Atlantic, go watch a Division III game. Go watch Salve Regina against an Endicott. Go watch a Salisbury and Ithaca, Cortland State. Go watch a Cortland State game and tell me, oh, yeah, my son's just going to step right in here and play. Division II baseball, insanely good, insane. And you have parents that are saying, well, my son doesn't get an opportunity to pitch. And this is my second topic. And I want parents to really understand what I'm trying to say here. College coaches, if they are a head coach or a recruiting coordinator, they have been entrusted with the ability and they are respected evaluators. And I want you to understand that metrics, analytics, I can't believe the number of people, even former major leaguers, that own travel teams that want to tell you to buy this gadget and measure your exit speed in a cage, exit velocity. Here's the number one thing that coaches look for when they're recruiting hitters: the limited swing and miss. If you're making consistent ball strike and you're a hitter that puts a barrel on a baseball consistently and your sole focus is just hitting a ball hard, nobody cares. Now you can tell me, well, coaches recruit metrics and coaches, that's part of it. But the eye test is not how hard you're hitting a ball in a cage. The eye test is when you're out here trying to pick up spin off of a guy, that can spin it and locate it. Are you making contact consistently? Are you limiting your swing and miss? The first rule of thumb when I'm evaluating hitters is their ability to put a ball in play. Next, pitchers. You're getting all hung up on velocity, analytics, horizontal, vertical, negative this, positive that. What's my velocity? You want to know what coaches look for? Can you field your position? Do you hold runners on? How do you deal with runners on second and third and nobody out and you got a 2-run lead? Show me what you're doing then. Because analytics and metrics don't measure the guts. You have to be an athlete. So recruiting is not just what are my metrics, what are my analytics, how hard am I throwing? For the love of God, go look at college baseball scores, regardless of the level. How many double-digit games are we seeing? The score is 19-12. I mean, it's amazing to me that we're still out here talking about velocity and exit velocity, but yet the games, I mean, we're seeing these scores. My God, I love a good 4-3, 2-1. Today, Boston College beat Northeastern 3-2. That's a good baseball game. I don't want to go to a baseball game and see a football game, happen. I get it. Those days definitely happen. But recruiting from a student athlete's perspective is your ability to be an athlete first, a competitor second, and all else third, like a teammate. It's not about the me. It's really, okay, what did I do within the confines of the game to give my team an opportunity to win? If you punch out 9, but you walked 7 and your velo was 95, okay, you punched out a bunch of guys, but you walked a lot of guys, and there's no way to defense the walk. The other part of this equation that I want parents to be really keenly aware of, and it really fits within the dialogue of recruiting, but yet you don't hear about it. And that is the umpiring at the college and professional level. Is the high school is a grape, and the college and the big leagues are watermelons. And I'm talking about the big watermelons that you see out in the summertime. The strike zones are small. Uh, you have to be able to pitch into that strike zone. You can't get helped by your velocity. You have to be able to throw strikes, command secondaries. As hitters, you're going to face that elite high-level velo, but high-level spin, and you got to put balls in play. So if in a cage, your exit velocity and your big doohickey gadget that you're going to put on a tripod and take videos and send out, that's not helping. And so when you hire these recruiting agencies and they send out these, email protocol, these standard emails, and they tell you to put the video with the gadget with your exit velocity or your pitch velocity. It's bogus. They want to see game video. They want to see your negative. They want to see you fail. They want to see your body language. That's what they want to see. And these coaches are going to take their time and come out and see you in the summer, come out and see you in the spring. Anybody that tells you that high school games are irrelevant, they are bogus. That is so bogus. Midweek games, coaches come out. They find their way to send what I call spotters. I get calls all the time. Hey, Walt, can you go? We got a guy, blah, blah, blah. Can you go see him? Absolutely. And I just give my opinion. Some take it, some don't. But if I get asked to do it, but also coaches have director of baseball operations fly up, recruiting coordinators fly up. My son played in the ISL in Massachusetts. During midweek games, Wake Forest, UVA, Vanderbilt, Ohio State, Dayton, they travel. High school baseball has college coaches that will go and see games. Maybe not every game, but they will find their way to a game. Or, by the way, college coaches have a MLB scouting network. Trust me when I tell you, they tap into that. Summer baseball, they get out, they see guys. They're not going to worry about your exit velocity in a cage off a tee. So if somebody's trying to sell that to you as like, this is the way to get seen, that's bogus. Form letters, emails, please. That's not necessary for 2028s, 2029s, or 2030s. You're not getting a head start. If your son has above average skill sets as a freshman or sophomore, trust me when I tell you, words travel. No, there's a young man in Louisiana, plays at Destrehan High School. He's a freshman. Jay Johnson knows all about him because the network of people, they filter that information. He is well aware. And so that's how this works. So my point is, you need to really have a good idea. By the time your student athlete has completed their sophomore and most importantly, their junior year, that's the time to begin to initiate the dialogue. Where are we trying to drive the bus? What excites you? What is within your grasp? What is within your sphere? Widen your lens. Any sport, any student athlete, male or female, the academic, the cultural piece, the social piece, the geographic piece. Where is the school located? Do you know statistically, you can Google this, Grok this, Claude this, whatever it is, use AI. The average high school student athlete will travel within a 3 to 4 hour radius of their home. That makes sense because, mom, dad, family, they want to be able to get home within a car ride. But for the vast majority of college, students, they go within a 3 to 4 hour radius. And now your entry, especially if the 5-year passes, the journey now for most is not a 4 or 5 year stay at one school. I think that is a positive experience. Many people do not. So the alternatives are you go to a 3-year, you go to a Division III or an NAIA school. And if your skill sets get to that point where you think, well, I think I can play at a higher level. Okay, there's going to be someone out there that recognizes that, and they're going to say, you know what, your ceiling has been elevated, but you should really understand the floor. Like, what's my baseline? Is it NAIA? Is it NCAA Division III? Do I have to go to a JUCO? Where am I trying to go from an academic perspective? Am I going to try to do a graduate? So all of these things enter into the discussion. And then you have to understand, okay, what's my foot speed? What's my arm strength? Now, arm strength, that is applicable to everybody over and above pitchers, by the way. And where can I see myself? And that has to have a dialogue with your travel coach, with your high school coach, with a respected person in your community. And you really get that idea, okay, this is my floor. So I'm comfortable looking at these schools. In my ceiling, should I progress my strength, my skill, should that progress, my ceiling might be a high level division two, a mid major. I don't even know if we can call them mid majors anymore, but that is how your college selection process goes. Now, I'm going to say something, and I'm trying not, I don't want this to be taken out of context, and I don't want somebody to say, well, I watched Walter last night, and this is what he said. I will tell you that the vast majority of high school athletes as of 2026, unless you are an elite frontline pitcher, and I'm saying elite high school pitcher, upper 80s, mid 90s, elite secondary pitcher, and man, I can flat out pitch. Or you are an elite left hand hitting, right hand throwing position player. So let me say it again: elite, talented now pitcher, righty or lefty, particularly if you're lefty, or you're an elite hitting fielder and you swing from the left side and you're a power hitter. That is probably the biggest area for Division I NCAA, Division I NAIA, and Division I NJCAA, as well as the California Division I JUCOs. All other athletes, and I mean all other athletes, you might be an elite shortstop, elite foot speed, you have good arm strength. Shortstops, they're literally everywhere. You need the physicality, you need that maturity. You need to understand that the college coaches now, particularly at those aforementioned Division I type schools, JUCO, NAI, NCAA, they're looking for athletes that are going to come in and contribute. And if not, they want you to go someplace and play. Now, you're saying to yourself, but my son is really good. 2027, I promise you, a lot of turbulence is ahead in 2027. Major League Baseball, lockout probability, I'm going to say greater than 70%. What is that going to do to college baseball? Going to push a lot of athletes into college baseball that in years past would have been gone to the draft. I believe as part of the new collective bargaining agreement, I think by 2028, high school athletes will not be part of the major league draft. I think there'll be an international component to the draft. And if that happens, you're going to see a lot of international. There's already a lot. People don't believe me, but ask the college coaches. I promise you this is accurate. A lot of international students are coming into United States colleges. Fact, all levels, NAIA, JUCO, NCAA. That's just a fact. We have a frontline pitcher going to Penn State from Japan, another frontline pitcher from Japan at Stanford, hitter at Stanford. Yeah. So there's going to be a lot less, very restricted with regard to college baseball. So knowing this is going to be occurring, you as a high school athlete or the parent of a high school athlete should be doing three things. One, first, foremost, stop. If you're a 27 or a 28 or a 29, let's not think about college recruiting and let's think about strength, skill set development. What is my athlete doing to make sure that when their graduation occurs in a year and a half, 2 years, that my athlete is on par physically? That doesn't mean you have to worry about your height. It just has to mean about strength, serviceable athletic strength. Don't have to go out and eat a million pizzas. Don't have to get on a scale holding a brick. You have to get in a weight room. You have to have a big boy workout plan. Skill set development. For the love of goodness, don't chase exit velocities with the gadget on a tripod. It's silly. It's stupid. It's a waste of time. Get in, Get in with someone that's going to teach you how to become an elite hitter, how to pick up spin, soft focus, hard focus, game situational hitting. Make yourself recruitable. Show coaches that you know how to hit behind runners. If you're down by a run, how to work a count. 3-1, nobody on, you're down by a run. You shouldn't be happy hacking 3-1. You need to know this stuff. So when a coach says, "Hey, what were you thinking there when your team was down a run and you were leading off the inning and you got a 3-1 breaking ball and you swung and missed? What were you thinking there?" Because you probably should have taken that and tried to work that walk, put the pressure on the pitcher. It's 3-2. He doesn't want to walk you. Those types of things, cerebral, intellectual components to being a baseball player, are going to matter with regard to recruiting. I promise you. Because if you're trying to have an exit velocity as a 17-year-old versus a 21 or 22-year-old, I'm going to tell you the 21 or 22-year-old is going to be better. Which brings me to this third point that I want to begin to re-emphasize for parents. Let's see. When do you think big realignment? What do you mean? Big realignment, Mr. Smith. Realignment is coming to college. I'm just going to tell you this because geographically, nobody from West Coast wants to go to the East Coast in February or March. I promise you. And it's straining athletic budgets. And athletic budgets are now basically coming into the realization of, hey, man, we got 5 trips to the East Coast, not only for our baseball team, but our softball team, our golf team, our tennis team. I mean, holy smokes. So there's going to be realignment. I promise you. When the whole NCAA and the Congress and all the stuff with Major League Baseball finally comes to a head in 2027, and then 2028 is going to emerge a West Coast, a Midwest, a Southeast, a East Coast. There's going to be realignment, and they may still call themselves the Southeast Conference, the ACC, the Big 10, the Big 12, and whatever the West Coast, maybe the new West Coast Conference, but it's going to realign. And there may be 80 schools. Think of it like soccer. There may be a premier division, a college division. Those types of things may occur. I really see that happening. But let me go back to my point because I don't want to go past an hour tonight. Parents, you need to understand, and this is not even up for debate, the sooner that you allow, if you have a sophomore in high school and you're being told that your student athlete needs to play 15U baseball, you got to run. You got to run. You got to walk away. And you got to say, this is not for me. At worst, and I don't even want to say it in that capacity, a 15-year-old should be trying to play Legion baseball against 17, 18, and 19-year-olds. For the love of goodness, man, you're in high school. It's time to man up and start competing against high school athletes. You can't keep your 15U and your 16U. You just can't do it. You have to go out and you have to begin to understand the lay of the land. If you're in high school and you're a freshman and you think, wow, my son really deserves an opportunity to be a varsity athlete, then you can't then say, well, my son's only going to be playing 14U this year or 15U. How do you do that? You have to compete as a high school athlete versus older players. And then when your son is 16, he's got to be competing against those 18 and 19-year-old players. And for those parents or those adults that push back and say, you are dumb, my son's going to get hurt. What are you doing in college when your 19-year-old son or student athlete is competing against a 24 or 25-year-old? And I have a newsflash for you. College baseball is essentially going to be 20 to 25. Now, we can argue about it. We can yell and scream. We can kick. But the facts are, the older athletes, there's money, there's education, and there's a reason why a lot of athletes want to stay and be college athletes. It's a pretty good gig if you're a 23 or 24-year-old and you've played Division 3 or NAIA, and some school says, we want you to come and play here, or come get your graduate degree. I know a couple boys that are in the Patriot League that next year are going to be playing in the ACC, and they're going to get some money, and they're going to get a graduate degree. I know boys that were in the Ivy League that are playing in the SEC. So that's a good gig. I'm going to get a degree. I'm getting paid. I have a full scholarship. This is a good gig. So why do I want to be a 24-year-old trying to go out in the job world when I can get a graduate degree for a full scholarship and make 30,000, maybe even more? So my point is, if you're being told as parents, and again, these are my opinions, if you're being told, oh, your son should play 15U, he wants to be the best of the best at the 15-year-old level, that's bogus. 15U is not a year. It's not a transitionary year. If you're a 15-year-old, you should be playing at worst 16U, but you should be playing Legion baseball or playing in a high school summer developmental league. I will tell you, and this is a fact, we are going to see high school juniors competing with college rising sophomores very, very soon. And when I say soon, as early as this fall, that's a fact. You can clip this, you can put it in your notes, but I am telling you, I know that you are going to start to see rising high school juniors competing against rising college sophomores. And that's going to be college summer league baseball. It's going to happen. College coaches are going to want to see how the rising juniors are going to compete against the current college freshmen, because guess what? Those are the peers that rising junior has to compete with for playing time against if they're going to play in college. So you need to understand, you need to be ahead of this. In closing, what do you need to do as parents? One, slow your recruiting process down. Get with someone that really understands the reality of the landscape. Slow your recruiting process down, because if you're running full steam ahead into your junior, that August 1st of your rising junior year, fall, it's gonna lead to heartache. Last year in Jupiter, we saw so many 2025s and 26s decommit. Some were in college as recent high school graduates and were leaving college. And some of the boys that are graduating this coming spring were told, I don't think it's going to work here. You need to reopen. And so they decommitted, and now they're still looking for opportunities. Slow your recruiting process down. Get to your completion of your junior year and evaluate, who are you? Who are you on course to become? What's the floor? What's the ceiling? What are my goals with regard to academics, geographics, campus size? Where do I think that I have a good opportunity? What do I want for my college career? Try not to be seeking a profile addition for your social media page. Nobody is going to care about where you went and then where you transferred to. Well, I went here and it didn't work, so now I'm over here. Try to find the proper landing spot. Next, let's stop passing the buck or the blame. The college coaches aren't trying to they're not trying to hurt a student athlete. The travel coaches, the high school coaches, they're not trying to hurt student athletes, at least in my opinion. The reality is, as parents, it's time to really look at the process in every way that you live your regular life, meaning you buy a home, you had a home inspection, your car, you get that inspected, in Massachusetts once a year. You pay insurance. You make decisions and you get, referrals and you get educated opinions. But yet with college recruiting, you just want to wing it and you just are chasing because, oh, my son's better than, or my daughter's better than that. No, no, you don't know enough about their situation. And what you have to understand is we're making this big, massive transition in 2027 and 2028, and political people are going to get involved, and they're going to try to put the guardrails up on college recruiting, and it is going to have an effect on your student athlete. I promise you. So you need to really begin to get that evaluation, create that plan, chart a course, have a true vision, and get people's opinions that you respect, that you trust, and that you can really, truly make educated opinions on. Now, next week, I'm going to be discussing in great detail the proliferation of what these baseball academies are referring to as postgraduate IMG type academies. And I'm only going to preface what I'm going to be talking about next week is, parents, you really want to deny your student athlete? And I know we don't believe in traditions anymore. I know that they are antiquated in the eyes of many adults these days, but things like graduation ceremonies, proms, high school dances, high school rivalries, we really want to just give that all away and just go in some academy and live with a tennis player and just do a bunch of reps because they have nice turf and nice amenities. And then, oh, by the way, do we really want to unplug from the conventional schools that have been around for 200 years, all in the name of potential college scholarship? I'm uneasy about all of that. I'm going to share that next week. If you like this type of video, please, I'd love to know where you're watching from. Go to the YouTube channel, put a comment in there. Tell me where you're watching from. Send me your questions. I love all the questions that I continue to get. I hope that people find this informational and it in some way does help you. If I can ever be of any help, walter@coachbeede.com. You can find me there. This Thursday, we're gonna talk to. I know a lot of people are talking about arm care. Probably one of the best in the business that my son Tyler works with. He owns and started Armored Heat. Ryan Yoshida worked for the Dodgers for 5 years. This is a guy that's plugged in. So we're going to talk arm care, and then over the next few weeks, we're going to talk to Tommy Moffitt, strength coach at Texas A&M, formerly at LSU. We're going to talk to Travis Jewett at USC. We're going to talk to John Savage of UCLA, number one currently in the country. And what we're going to talk to both USC and UCLA about is their focus on development on their high school arms and their pitching staff and how they're developing their guys out of high school and why that might be a trend with regard to the pitchers with regard to college. So again, we're going to continue to stay on these topics. We'll have our Tuesday live discussions. We're going to have our college coaches corner, and also we're going to, kind of spread some college strength coaches in there, some arm coaches, all in hopes of providing you parents with information that can help you be better informed and make better decisions. Until next week, I say thank you. Please engage. Give us a thumbs up. If you made it this far, go down, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, send a comment, good, bad, it doesn't matter. I'll engage. I wish you the happiest and healthiest spring. It is baseball season. I hope you all get to enjoy it.